Hello guys, welcome to the Royal Activity channel. This time I read a very interesting article on GB News, because once again I quoted a few. Source: a royal insider, they claim. Who has information on this story? It says that Meghan Markle is furious with Princess Kate according to this. And apparently they are not currently on. King Charles is thought according to the article to be the only senior member of the most senior member of the royal family that is currently in contact with. And according to this, it seems to be the interference from Meghan Markle that Kate has reached out, and it says that Kate feels terrible that the royals and Harry are at this current impasse with so little contact between them. I can perfectly understand that, and I would defend Kate for saying so. Nobody likes to have any kind of rift in the family, which is certainly what this. Obviously you get my opinions on this channel, that's why you're here. It adds that she blames Meghan for it almost entirely, and that the longer it goes on, for the more it upsets and frustrates her. Again, I can well understand that, and I would defend her for that. I'm not being a royalist here, because when I give you my views, it's open and clear, transparent, and I'm not saying any of this as a royalist. I don't really consider myself a royalist. I do have an utmost and deep respect for the royal family, for traditions, especially traditions of the bar. You know, I'm not tied to the bar in my opinions, and because contrary to popular belief, we don't take an oath as a barrister. Judges take oaths, but they take an oath to uphold their duty as an independent of the judiciary, but we as barristers, whilst we are independent, we don't take an oath to that effect. So even then I don't subscribe to this. You know, you must conform to certain views angle, which some people believe we do. I don't. I take the views that I wish to take, and so I'm not a royalist, but I do defend and respect traditions and history and everything there. And so the GB article refers to the Heat magazine article that I've been talking about recently, and I will be talking about with Andy Signal both here next week and over on his new channel Popcorn Palace, so make sure you subscribe to that. I'll link it in the description below. In quotes Heat magazine to say that Kate's a little bit known to the palace aides who still speak with the Sussexes, that Kate thinks that it's extremely poor how the Harry has been treated, as in how Meghan has treated. And then Meghan is apparently furious and thinks that Kate's got no right to get involved in the marriage, and that Meghan would never dream of interfering between her, Kate, and William. So this is very much a public rift of the family, regardless of it supposedly being private. But some royal insider, which it may be deliberate, I don't know. I mean, this seems very similar to Harry's claims of stories being leaked by the palace to the press. Maybe it's just by an individual in the palace to the press, one of the aides, perhaps, I don't know. But I can only believe that the news outlets Heat magazine and GB News, they would be reporting it if they have some belief in its truth, because they've got contacts. I don't have those contacts. I'm not speaking directly with them, so I'm telling you quite plainly that I don't know if this is true or not. I'm reading it from GB News. I've read it from Heat journalists that speak to each other, or at least speak to the sources, and numerous sources. They normally have more than one source. I'm not a journalist, so I can't say, and I don't know, but what I can say is that there is usually at least some kernel of truth to it, especially when there's so much detail. And then it says earlier this month the royal commentator had claimed that the peacemaker during Raw feuds. Again, I can believe that, because what I do know of Kate from what I've read about her is That she seems to be very much the person that would settle these disputes. Keep people on speaking terms. She seems to be truly the right person to step into the shoes of the Princess of Wales. Because the general public seem to love Kate. That's my perception, it's my genuine perception. Let me know in the comments what you think, whether you're in the UK or abroad in the Commonwealth or the United States. Let me know in the comments what you think, because I'd be very interested to know what the public perception is. I might even do a poll, and if I do a poll, I'll link that in the description as well, because I'll be very interested to know what you think. My view is that the public perception and the reception of Kate is that the public do love Kate and the way that she interacts with the public. That's perception. Let me know what you think. And so, as I say, it goes on to say that she's often the peacemaker, or tried to be the peacemaker, with Harry, and he goes on to talk about the scandal Munger's podcast, which went into details on the phrase that everybody now remembers, which obviously referred to the Oprah Winfrey interview, and the phrase in response to that, which was recollections may vary, and then the article tails off to say that Kate was the person that insists that this phrase, recollections may vary, should stay. Because she made the argument that we've got to lay down a market to say that we challenge some of the narrative, because otherwise it's going to be accepted as true, and we've got the future reputation of the royal family to think about. And then, presumably, the insider again says it shows a side of Kate that's not always appreciated, that she's far steelier, she's thinking about the longer term now. I couldn't agree more. In my view, Kate is seriously thinking about the future of the royal family, the impression and the reputation, which, judging by the comments and the views and everything else in response to my videos and my views on this, there is a huge amount of respect for the royal family. There are certain arguments made against the royal family, referring to certain historical words and phrases. However, there is, with respect to those, in my view, a misunderstanding in how unequivocally condemned but were historically used in a non-disparaging way, and those phrases are no longer used and universally condemned, and therefore they don't, in my view, support a just criticism against the royal family as being a racist family or institution. I just don't think that's the case. I don't agree with that, and it certainly seems to me that Kate is defending the royal family and looking out for the royal family's reputation, the future of the monarchy, and judging by the comments and the general response to my videos and these discussions and my views thereof, that really seems to be the case. There is an inherent respect for the royal family, and this rift, I suppose, is the best way of calling it, between the majority of the royal family and the Sussexes has at some point got to come. And that's either going to be a conclusion that there is a total, or there's going to be some divide. Now, there's been lots of rumors, which I'll discuss in another video, so make sure you subscribe for that one. There's been rumors of a potential divorce and arguments for divorce. Those are just rumors at this stage, as far as I'm aware, because it's been mentioned in certain articles, but certainly no proof from what I've seen. But what would that entail now, as a lawyer, a barrister of England and Wales that has dealt with divorces in England and Wales? I can tell you, and I can comment on my experience, how it really works in court, what really the arguments that really go before the court, and the way the court really views these arguments. I've got certain views which may come across as cynical, but that's through experience you'll get those if you subscribe to this channel. Because this is for my real views on. And while we're on the subject, how things really work in the family courts. And abuse between partners and things like that, obviously I've got to use very careful language with how I talk about those things when and if I talk about those things, but do subscribe to those. And leave your questions and your comments regarding those below as well. But in the meantime, as regards to this rift about Meghan being furious, well, it in conclusion that Kate appears from this article and from the quote in Royal Insider that Kate is trying to mend the damage between them, and Meghan is furious that she's trying to interfere. That's my interpretation on these articles as it stands now. Pure caveat, as I say, it is only going on what the articles are reporting, but there are multiple articles quoting this source, and they clearly have a source that's telling them this information, and without any information they won't be able to write the article. I don't think for a moment that they are making this up. They are getting the information from somewhere. And I believe that they are getting this from some source, either one of them or someone close to them that knows something that's going on. And as I say, it's quite ironic that this does call back to Harry's complaints about the getting hold of this information either officially or from sources that are, let's say, less than official. And are you? No, let's be uncharitable for a moment. Perhaps making money on selling stories to the press. Who knows? I mean, if you were to believe Harry's side, there's unlawful activity going on, and voicemails being hacked and all sorts of stuff historically. But we'll see what happens with the judgment in Harry's case, and we'll see what happens as these stories continue to unfold. But in the meantime, I am happy to share my thoughts with you as we go along. They are just my thoughts and my opinions, reading the articles and discussing it with you. I read the comments, obviously feedback too. You snippets that I read in the comments, and they inform my future videos here on Black Belt Secrets, so please do subscribe, hit the like button if you like my personal thoughts on these things, and don't forget my legal take on these things is somewhat more neutral, somewhat more analytical over on Blackboard Barrister, so make sure you subscribe there as well. Don't lose sight of the pure and how that applies in these scenarios. I will talk about that as well, but in the meantime, I do thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. Do be sure to catch me on Popcorn Planet, Popcorn Palace, and catch Andy Sr. here on Black Belt Secrets next week, and make sure you subscribe for that, and I'll see you next time.